Welcome back, my dear students. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today we're going to be learning about class styling or class binding. It's going to be pretty awesome. All right, so let's get to it. Let's create a file. I'm going to do a save as on index like I do 99.9% of the time. I'm going to call this class binding and styling or something like that. How about that? .html. I don't know if I spelled that correctly, but we'll find out another time. All right. So let's say, for example, and let's double click on that file. Make sure that you do if you're not using an IDE like me. And let's see what we got. All right. So let's say, for example, we want to style, and this is what they're good for. This class binding and class styling is good for, you know, putting a class there when something is happening in your code. The same thing with styles, okay? But with classes, they are more useful. In my approach, personal approach, classes are more useful because you can just define the class, and we're gonna do that right now. Okay, we can define the class up here. Let's say a class of active, and put a color of green. Okay, and then do a not active class. And we're going to put a color of red or something like that. Okay. So let's just make this tight as possible. We can even put it in one line if we wanted to. Okay. All right. I don't recommend this, but you're welcome to do it. All right. So if I were to add this class here and I refresh, you can see that that changes to green. Good stuff, right? And if I change this, I put the not active one, that changes to red. Good stuff. Let's just add a class that we don't have there because I want to show you something later. Static or something. Let's take that back to black. So if we had a user, let's just actually change this for name, and the name of this user was Edwin, like me. Really cool guy, I know him. Make sure that we change this too. Okay, and we want to apply some type of color to indicate that this user is active. Maybe this was some type of round circle or something like that, but in this case it's going to be a name. We can apply a property here, say, hey, listen, if this user is active, we're going to apply the Boolean value true to that property. And here we can use bbind class, okay? And I'm using the shorthand, by the way, and I can pass in some type of object to create some type of expression here to, test to see if that user is active. So I'm going to communicate with this HTML element to my JavaScript, right? Through this HTML to my JavaScript. So I'm going to say here, I want you to put the active class. If is active, it's present, like that. So now if I come here and I refresh, you can see that that works. Now if I make this false, this should stay black, right? Awesome. Let's make that true. Okay, so it stays green. And what if I wanted to include maybe another one, like an else statement or something, or test another expression? Well, I could say something like this. If it's not active, let's actually create another property here. Let's just go ahead and write it down here first. This is the not active right here. Include the not active, okay, property class if this user if it's not is active. Okay, something like that. And if I do false and I click and I refresh, you can see that that is applied automatically. I was going to do another logic here, but I think this was easy enough for you guys to understand it. This exclamation means the opposite of true, which is false. Okay, so we are including the not active. If is active, is false. Okay, of course you can flip this around however you want. You can also create some type of other property that makes more sense. Has arrow, and put that to true, and you could come back here and you can say if that property is true, then apply the red class, which it should stay the same. Okay, so that's one way of doing that. Let's actually do another example real quick here. I like to make my course lectures small, but in this case, oh, and another thing before I forget, let's inspect this and let me show you. This class binding leaves the other classes intact, and this is one of the reasons I left that static class there. Look at the static is there, so it doesn't remove it or anything. It just adds classes to it. Okay, it uses that JavaScript add class. Okay, commands. So let's come back here and create another to show you another functionality that I like to use. You can also include classes with an array like this. You can bind them. Okay, so you can use a whole expression here, not just like this, because like this looks a little weird and it might be a little hard for you guys to grasp. For those of you that have used ternary operator, you can do something like this. If it's active, include active, else include not active. Okay, and of course you can pass in the name here again, and you can see that that works the same there, but we're using square brackets now, and it's easier for those of you that know this syntax. This is like an if statement in a way. Okay, if is active, include active, else is the colon, if it's not, include not active. It's shorter, and for me it's a lot simpler than doing something like this, right? Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm gonna leave it like this, and I'll see you on the next lectures.